In this video, I'm covering my top 10 tips for participating in and winning hackathons based on my experience from a number of hackathons as a participant, mentor, jury, and organizer. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Bobby. I'm an entrepreneur and business advisor, and I have organized some of the biggest hackathons in the Netherlands and been a part of quite a few other hackathons in the past few years. This video is part of a series I'm doing on hackathons. If you have any doubt about what a hackathon is, watch the previous video I made for a brief overview. Now let's get into my top 10 tips on participating and winning. Number 10, define your goal. When joining a hackathon, be clear about what you want to achieve or to get out of the experience. Not everyone goes for the sake of winning, and a lot of people go for networking opportunities, to add a project to their portfolio, or just to have fun. Focus on your goal and get the most out of it. If you want to win, try to work smart and have a good strategy with the team. If you want to network, a hackathon is an amazing place to do so, as it gathers many like-minded people. Talk to mentors, get to know your team better, and try to get in touch with challenge owners and jury members. I have, for example, recruited people whom I've met at hackathons, so I can say from my personal experience that it's a good place to look for a job or for partners. I've also made friends at hackathons, other mentors and participants with whom I've kept contact for years afterward. In addition, if you want to start a new project to continue beyond the hackathon, then make sure you get the contact information of the challenge owners or other experts you might meet there. Moving on to the next tip. Prepare well and take care of yourself. Participating in a hackathon is very energy demanding, and for optimal experience and performance, I recommend getting ready a few days beforehand. Eat well, be fully rested when starting the hackathon, and very importantly for online hackathons, clean and tidy up your workplace to have your productivity flowing. Also, opposite to common perception, I wouldn't recommend not sleeping during the hackathon. On the contrary, make sure you get proper rest during the hackathon as well. Not only this way you'll be performing much better than if you're depleting your energy, but also you won't risk having a total energy crash after the hackathon, which is definitely not worth it. Go with a team or form one before the start of the hackathon. Even though most hackathons allow individual participants to register without a team and to form one or join one after, I recommend finding friends or colleagues to go with, if you can. On the one hand, you will be able to work better knowing the people you are relying on, and probably you'll have even more fun. And on the other hand, forming or joining a new team can be a hit or miss. There's no guarantee you'll be getting along, and you might even waste crucial time getting on the same page. Furthermore, I've seen teams disband because people have different expectations, don't get along, or are not even responding to each other in online hackathons. I have literally seen people who are so eager to participate, and because the team they joined disbanded, they couldn't even get to the end of the hackathon. So don't risk it. If you can, find friends or colleagues to work with, or at least form a team with other registered individuals before the start of the hackathon and get to know them before committing to form a team. Research beforehand and talk to the challenge owners. Understanding the problem you're going to tackle is the most important thing you can do when joining a hackathon. If you know the challenge you are going to work on, I recommend doing at least a high-level market research on what has already been tried, what are some trending ideas on the subject, and what are the regulations that possibly affect it. Do that before the hackathon if you can. Mentors are there to help you. Make use of them, especially if you get stuck or you are unsure how to proceed with any aspect of your work or pitch. Sometimes they can also brainstorm with you and have a different perspective on the idea. Moreover, it's important to mention that sometimes, especially in smaller hackathons, mentors can influence the jury. In some of our hackathons, we even had a scorecard that each mentor had to fill after interacting with the team, and those were then given to the jury so they can get an idea of how the team came to the final idea and what their journey was. Now, what do you do once you have a team and a challenge you have familiarized yourself with and even booked some mentor meetings? It's time to split the work among the team. This is done by identifying the main tasks to be done, and each team member becomes the owner of such a task. A good structure for that is the pitch deck. Ask if the hackathon has a template for the pitch. If not, Find on the internet one that would fit the duration of your presentation and includes all the necessary parts. For example, problem definition, market research and statistics, the solution including the proof of concept, go-to-market strategy, potential competitors or partners, financial projections, etc. And start working on these parts immediately. Another very common hackathon mistake is for teams to leave the presentation for the end. Don't forget that the jury is primarily, if not only, looking at your presentation and pitch, and they would rarely have time to look at your code. So have someone from the team working on the presentation already from the beginning. And a final point on organizing your work is to let each team member work on their own and have regular check-ins with the whole team to synchronize. For example, you can schedule team meetings every 2 to 3 hours, and in between everyone works on their own tasks. If you're familiar with Scrum, think of having a stand-up every couple of hours or so. When you're thinking of your solution, don't fall into the trap of coming up with multiple solutions or one with too many functionalities. Focus on one aspect of it. Most of the time you're not expected to solve the whole problem, but rather to contribute to the overall solution. So the simpler your idea is, the better. It will most probably be more feasible, easier to understand and to communicate to the jury, most importantly, and to build a proof of concept of it. Another important factor to think about is the impact on society that your solution might have. Don't forget to think about the ethical implications or even the regulations that might affect your solution. The more obvious the impact on society, the better. And again, keep it simple. Think about how you can help one person and go from there. The jury, being human beings, relates easier to emotional triggers rather than logic, especially after seeing a couple of dozen pitches. Let's talk about the prototype and why you should work smart, not hard. Too many teams in hackathons work primarily on the technical solution, and most of the time that's a mistake. The prototype or proof of concept is important, but it's not the most important thing. I've seen teams win hackathons without any working prototype, but instead with a clever no-code solution or even just a PowerPoint presentation showing the user experience and with a bigger focus on the market solution fit. This doesn't mean you shouldn't work on your technical prototype, however. I'm just saying don't overdo it. Normally, the technical demo is a small part of the whole pitch, and yet many teams spend north of 80% of their time on it. What's important is the idea. Describe it well, show that you have researched its validity, and then show that it's feasible with a proof of concept. We are almost done. Next, familiarize yourself with the jury criteria. Talking about the other aspects of the pitch, normally the jury has specific criteria they are going to look for and evaluate teams accordingly. Make sure you are aware of that. Most of the time, at least in my experience, the viability of the technical solution is between 20 and 40% of the final score. Depending on the type of hackathon, it might be equally as important to have a good business model or to even get out of the building to validate the idea. I've seen teams go out on the street to ask people for their opinion on the solution idea and take that into consideration. Other times, teams call companies from the industry and get feedback. Such kind of validation, if possible, can bring you way ahead of other teams in the jury's eyes. And the top tip I can share is, do it for the fun and the experience, not for the win. I started this list with the definition of your goal, and I recognize that there might be many reasons to join a hackathon. My recommendation, however, is to not focus too much on the win, but really do it for the fun and the experience. Hackathons are difficult to win, not just because of the competition, but also because you are dependent on so many factors out of your control, like, for example, the mood or energy level of the jury. Even your position in the pitching competition at the end, which most probably is chosen randomly, can affect how the jury sees you just because of how human psychology works. People tend to remember more vividly the last thing they have seen or heard. On the other hand, at the beginning of the pitches, they might be listening more intently. Furthermore, here's some inside information from the backstage of the jury deliberation room. Very often, jury members don't understand the pitch or the idea behind it. which, when you think about it, is totally normal. They have just a few minutes to comprehend your idea, and that's after hearing who knows how many other pitches. When they go to the jury deliberation room, it's mostly all a blur, and they rely on quickly scribbled notes, and they try to remember what each pitch was about. I'm not saying it's always like that, but really, the jury score is mostly out of your control. So don't rely on it for the overall experience, and try to have as much fun as you can on the way to the end. I will finish with a personal story. As I already mentioned, I started a company because of my participation in a hackathon. It was a startup weekend kind of hackathon, and I went with the idea to meet like-minded people and just to have fun. I was also very open to finding inspiration for a new project or venture. I didn't know anyone else when I went, and I just messaged a couple of people on the event Slack channel who have expressed similar topic interests as me. At the beginning of the hackathon, I managed to form an amazing team, and we worked super hard on our idea. We were innovative, proactive, very creative, and we covered all the checkpoints for a successful pitch. And yet, we didn't win. We were total losers. The jury didn't like our idea. They said it was too far-fetched and gave the win to a team who had a very basic and very simple idea and pitch. The winning team, however, disbanded immediately after the hackathon, while we continued working together and even started a company out of it. So my point is, have fun and don't get discouraged by not winning. If you win, awesome, but otherwise, just keep your motivation up and keep on pushing. Do you have other tips on winning hackathons? Let me know in the comments below, and check this playlist with more videos on hackathons. If you didn't like this video, downvote the shit out of it. My name is Bobby, thank you for watching, and until next time.